so you started yours in 2002. And did you go solo, or did you have a co-founder with you at that time?
Well, I started with two other gentlemen that are no longer with the organization. We were together. We started it together, and it was a really interesting journey in the beginning. I was in California. One of the other gentlemen was in Baltimore, and then another one was in Michigan. Well, part of the original plan was we all went to Detroit, Michigan in the early 2000s to start this journey. And if you remember, things weren't very positive in the automotive industry at that time.
Yes.
So on top of starting an organization, which is overwhelming enough, we did it at a time when the automotive industry was about to get hit with a very challenging time in their history.
And how did that go?
Well, I call the first 5 years the most fun I never want to have again. We learned a lot of hard lessons. Yeah,
so that means, you know, you learn even from things that didn't go so well, or
yeah, when
would you say that?
Yeah, absolutely. When I do speaking engagements, Carmen, I'm not a big bio guy, but part of my introduction is I'm an entrepreneur who's made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah,
I made the majority of them in those first 5 to 10 years.
Oh, well, that's good.
They were blessings. You know, that's how you learn.
That is how you learn. That's the best way to learn. And so, was the company named Populus at that time?
Populus Group, yes.
Yeah. And so, tell me more about the company. You know, you started it, you learned, and then after the first 5 years, did you branch out, or did you have, what kind of growth did you have when you started?
Well, let me back up a little bit, right? So, like in business, I believe that you have to ask yourself some real pointed, simple questions that are going to give you the control that you desperately want as an entrepreneur to be able to build what you imagine. And the first question that I've learned from being a student of Patrick Lencioni's work is, why do you exist? And that's the bus story, right? And so we believe that everyone deserves an opportunity to succeed. That's at the essence of why we exist. And as an entrepreneur, in my experience, there's something bigger than your drive for financial security that's driving you. And for me, it was the bus story and building something that would allow me to pay forward that kind of act of generosity. And then the second one is, how do we behave? And that's all about the type of people that you surround yourself with, the culture that you want to build, and making sure that there is very clear boundaries about how you're going to climb as one. That's what we call it, right? I'm a mountains guy. I love the mountains. I actually call my employees climbers because of my time in the military.
Right.
Like, I still to this day know the essence of what it means to be a soldier. And when you think about it, the word employees, like, what's it mean? It's a term, right? And I call my employees climbers because we're all pursuing our own climb. We're all continually improving. I believe there's a summit that we're all pursuing. And that's why I call my employees climbers, but our term is we climb as one. And that's our culture code. And those are the boundaries in terms of how we behave.
That's awesome.
And then the third one is the one that most people go to right away. What do you do? Right? And so that right there, you have to have very clear understanding of the problem that you want to solve for the world. And for us, as I was growing up in the recruiting industry, I noticed that a lot of organizations were having a hard time managing their non-permanent workforce, right? So an organization, they have two workforces. They have their permanent workforce, which they usually have a pretty good grip on, and then they have their non-permanent workforce. And that can be a ball of yarn for people. There are independent contractors, there's consultants, there's temporary contractors, there's foreign nationals. As the war for talent has escalated, that population of the workforce continues to increase. In real simple English, we help organizations better manage that non-permanent workforce.
Yeah, that's so needed today.
Oh, it's a critical need.
So we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be back with Bobby Herrera.